In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Creality CR ScanFerretPro. This is an entry-level 3D scanner that's both affordable and easy to use. All that's needed to get started with the 3D scanner is a smartphone or computer that will run the free scanning software from Creality. Once you have that installed, all you need to do is connect the scanner using a USB cable, or you can use the included wireless bridge to connect using Wi-Fi, which eliminates the needs for cables altogether. Once you're connected, it only takes a few clicks to get started, and the software takes over and does all the hard work for you. The CR ScanFerretPro has two scanning modes. In high quality mode, it has up to 0.1 millimeter accuracy for better details while scanning. It also has a fast scan mode and is equipped with a 3D imaging specific ASIC chip, which will reduce the performance requirements of computers and phones. And before we get started, I do want to point out one thing. Creality did send me this product for the purpose of making this review. This video is 100% my honest opinion on this product. And after watching this review, if you decide you want to buy a CR ScanFerretPro for yourself, I will have links to this product down in the description. Okay, so let's start out by taking a look at what all comes with the scanner. First of all, everything is packaged in this soft shell case. And then when we open it up, there is the user's manual and the warranty card. And we'll start out right here. You can see everything is in its own little cubby hole. Everything has its own space inside the case. And this is the actual scanner itself. Next is the wireless bridge. This is what allows you to use Wi-Fi instead of cables to connect to your computer. Then right here is the handle. This also has the battery in it. So this powers everything that connects to it. Then we have a little cell phone adapter. This connects to the handle, and then you can mount your cell phone on here, so it's all one piece. And then we have a little tripod. This is just a little tripod mounting base. And then the adapter that connects the 3D scanner to your handle. Now up here in the top, there's just some assorted cables. Now whichever cable you use just depends on what method you're going to use to connect to the scanner, whether it's going to be Wi-Fi, a cell phone, or direct to a computer. And then there is also some little marker dots. Okay, I think what I'm going to do for my first scan is use this in Wi-Fi mode. So you can see I have got the scanner connected to the Wi-Fi bridge through this cable and the Wi-Fi bridge connected to the handle through this cable. And remember, the battery is inside here. So all I need to do is push the power button one time. You can see the green LEDs powered up here. And then if we look here on the front of the Wi-Fi bridge, I want to wait for this LED to turn blue. And while we wait for that LED to turn blue, I do want to mention that the Wi-Fi bridge uses a Wi-Fi 6 high-speed wireless network, which is 3 times faster than Wi-Fi 5, so you know it meets the transmission bandwidth required for high-precision scanning. All right, so you can see the LED has turned blue. It took about 30 seconds for that to happen. That means that the Wi-Fi bridge is ready to be connected to. And if we take a look at the network settings on my notebook computer, we can see there's now a network called Ferret 047212. This is the Wi-Fi bridge, so let's connect to it. So now I'm going to run the Creality Scan software on my notebook computer. Now I've already downloaded it from the Creality webpage and installed it on my computer. And when it first starts, there will be a screen to help you get started. And there's just 3 pages here of helpful tips and things to do, things not to scan, some suggestions on settings, and there's also over on the right-hand side, you can click on the model of scanner that you're using, and when you click on that, it will go to another web page that goes more into detail on how to get started. I believe there's some video tutorials and other information over there. It's just a nice little page to have if you're just starting out with 3D scanning like I am. Okay, so the first item we are going to scan today is going to be this little corgi figurine. You can see it's not very big. It fits in the palm of my hand, but it does have some detail to it. I figured this would be a nice item to try and start off with. So this is the turntable that I'm going to be using for this first scan. It's just an old spice rack that Mrs. Making Stuff wasn't using anymore. And you don't need anything fancy. Just an old Lazy Susan or a spice rack like this one should work fine. Now if you look at this one, you can see it's got a little bit of an edge on it, and I'm afraid that might block the bottom of the object from the scanner. So what I'm going to do is just place this piece of plywood here on top, and then I can put my object on that plywood and then spin it around as I'm scanning it. I'm going to be scanning this item freehand. I'm just going to hold the scanner in my hand and move it back and forth as I rotate the turntable to get a scan of this object. And one of the things that makes that possible is that it has built-in anti-shake stabilization. So when I click the new project button, I have to give my project a name, and I'm going to call this one Corgi Scan. And then the software is going to ask me for a few settings. And for this, we're going to use a normal object. It's going to be small in size. I'm going to use the textured feature, leave high quality on, and yes, we are using a turntable. And then I'll go down here, click the scan button, and then it goes to the scan page. Okay, before we start scanning this object, let's go over to the scan screen in the software, and I'm going to show you a few things you want to pay attention to while you're scanning an object. So the first thing you want to pay attention to are the preview windows over on the left-hand side of the screen. And the object that you're scanning, you always want to keep it in the center of the screen. To the right of the preview windows, you can see your focal length graph. And if you get too far away from the object, that graph moves towards the top. And if you get too close, it moves down to the bottom. So what you want to do is keep it right in the middle. The optimal place to be is keep that right in the middle, and when you're in a good spot, it will turn green to let you know that you've got a pretty good focal length distance between your object and the scanner. And then over here on the right side of the screen, you don't really want to worry about what it looks like. You just want to keep it green. If it turns red, that means the scanner has lost the tracking of the item, and you just need to backtrack a little bit so that the scanner can lock back onto the item and keep scanning it. So there's nothing left to do other than hit the scan button and get started. Okay, so I hit the pause button on the software because I have scanned all the way around this little Corgi figurine. Now I need to get the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just place it on the turntable on its side and then hit the resume button. And once the scanner locks into this object, I should be able to start scanning the bottom. Okay, so I have completed the scan, and if we look at the screen, this really doesn't look much like the item that I scanned, and that is because there has not been any processing done to this. Now, I can go in and do this manually, or I can click over here at the top of the right-hand side of the screen. There is a menu, and there is one-click process, and this will handle everything for me automatically. So I'm going to try it out first, clicking on this one-click process, and let's see what type of results we get. I am extremely impressed. I never would have thought I would see these results from an entry-level handheld scanner. So if we look here, you can see here is the little Corgi figurine. It did not miss any detail on the top, even the bottom where I had to pause the scan and rotate the item so we could scan the bottom. It looks like it got everything. There's just nothing missing. I mean, this is just amazing. And to think for years, I personally avoided 3D scanning because I thought it was going to be difficult. It was going to have a steep learning curve, that I would have to learn some type of 3D modeling software. But I mean, this is amazing. It took me maybe 10 minutes to get this scanned and processed and in my computer to where it is right now. And I also want to point out that not only does the ScanFerretPro scan objects in three-dimensional space, but it also has a built-in 2 megapixel high-resolution color camera that will do 24-bit full color scanning. And that is why we get a scan object that looks like this instead of a scanned object that looks like this. So you know the next thing I'm going to have to do is try and 3D print this. So what I'm going to do is export this to an STL, dump that STL into Cura, see if this will slice and 3D print straight from the scan software. So last night I was able to import that STL into my slicer software, and it sliced it right up with no errors. It generated the G-code, and I was able to 3D print the Corgi figurine from that 3D printed scan. And here is a closer look at that 3D print, and as you can see, my 3D printer had no issues printing this figurine from that 3D scan. And here is an up-close look at the original next to the 3D scan and the 3D print. So the ScanFerretPro did a pretty good job scanning that small figurine. Now it's time to see how well it works with larger objects. I had a buddy stop by and we decided we were going to try out the face feature of this scanner. He just sat on this stool and rotated around like he was sitting on a turntable while I scanned him with the 3D scanner. And that whole process took about 5 minutes to complete that whole scan. And if we go over here and look at the results, you can see that it did an absolutely amazing job at scanning. Creality says that this scanner has accuracy of up to 0.1 millimeters when used in high quality mode. And I wouldn't doubt that a bit considering the past 2 scans that I've done. So let's say I wanted to 3D print this. Well, first I'm going to have to do a little bit of a cleanup, because if you look, you can see that this scan is not fully enclosed, and there's also some garbage over here on the side, and it would probably be a good idea to kind of flatten the base here to make it easier to 3D print. And I'm supposed to be able to do this with the Creality scan software, but I can't right now because I have found a bug in the software that is preventing me from editing this item. Now I have reported this to Creality and they have confirmed it to be a bug and they are working on it, and I don't know if they will have it fixed by the time this video is released. So in order for me to 3D print this, I'm going to have to go and use some different software like Mesh Mixer to go in and clean up this 3D scan. And here's a quick look of what it looks like in Mesh Mixer. You can see I have cleaned up all of this area at the bottom of the scan. And if we take a look at the bottom, you can see that it's closed in. So now this object should 3D print without any issues. And that's exactly what it did. It 3D printed this with no issues, no errors, and you can see it did just an absolutely amazing job. I'm very satisfied with the results of this 3D scanner. Another feature of the ScanFerretPro is that it will scan black and metal objects without the need of prepping the item, such as spraying it with reflective spray. So I scanned both of these items in the same way I did the Corgi figurine, and there's no shocker here, I got really good results. And we can start by looking at the rabbit, and you can see that it did not miss any detail at all. Scanning this rabbit in, did an excellent job. And then here is the socket. You can see it did just as good a job getting the scan of the socket. It did pick up a little bit of that piece of plywood right here, but I did hit that closure button in the software and it did close the bottom. So if I wanted to, I would have no problem 3D printing this object. So another feature of the ScanFerretPro is that it will scan outdoors. So I've moved everything outside of the shop and I'm just going to try and scan this rabbit again, but this time I'm going to do it outside. So scanning outside is just a little bit more difficult than scanning inside. For one, it's really hot outside, and two, the user interface is dark themed. So it was really hard for me to see the scan and the progress. I couldn't tell if the map was green or if it was red, if it was tracking, if it lost tracking. It was really, really difficult for me to see what all was going on in the software. Also, I had to move everything a lot slower. I found it was easier just to hold that camera still and slowly rotate that turntable, because if I tried to move it back and forth with my hand, it would just lose tracking every half second or so, and it was just a nightmare. But once I held the camera still and moved everything with the turntable, it seemed to work okay. And if we go in here and take a look at the raw file, you can see that the rabbit is right here in the center, but we also got some of the turntable. Now that's not a big deal, that can be cleaned up in the software. I'm just going to use this lasso select tool, and I'm just going to select all of this stuff that I don't want and hit the delete button and then rotate it. There's a little bit over here on this side as well. And we will delete that. Now, that pretty much has got all of the turntable pieces. That has pretty much got most of the turntable. I'll go in here and clean up all of these little bitty dots, but this thing is ready. I'm going to hit the one-click process now, and I'm going to let the computer take over, and we will see how well this thing scanned outside. And these are the results from the outside scan. It looks very similar to what I got when I scanned it on the inside. I did get a little bit of the build table or turntable right here at the bottom, but that could be very easily cleaned up if I didn't want that in there. So other than it being just a little bit more difficult to get the scanning outside, the results are the same as scanning inside. Up until now, I've been using the Wi-Fi bridge to connect the ScanFerretPro to my computer, but there's another way that we can use this scanner without having to use the Wi-Fi bridge or even a computer. You can use a smartphone with the ScanFerretPro. All you need to do is download the Scan app, install it on your phone, and then change the cables out and connect the ScanFerretPro to your phone. And the app is very similar to the software that runs on the computer. You have your two preview windows. There is no focal length bar on the side here, but it does tell you if you need to move closer or further away from your object while you're scanning. And it works the same as the software on the computer. You just want to keep your focal length at the optimum range, and you want to keep the item that you're scanning green. You don't want it to turn red. And unfortunately for me, after I scan for a little while, this message pops up and it tells me my phone lacks the ability to process this item. This is a smaller phone and it lacks on memory and processing power, but that's not going to stop me from continuing and scanning this item. So if I hit the continue button, I can continue to scan the item. I just can't do any processing with my cell phone. So I continue to scan my item, except for this time I'm using my cell phone. And when I finished the scan, I transferred the data over to my computer so that it could do all of the processing and heavy lifting. And Creality makes it super easy to transfer all that data from my phone over to my computer. All I have to do is click the Import from Phone button in the Creality Scan software. Then it shows me a QR code. I scan this QR code with my phone, and then automatically everything is transferred over to my computer. And here are the results from scanning that turtle figurine with my cell phone. The results look just the same as that Wi-Fi bridge. It looks like I did forget to check the box that said ignore the flat surface that the object is sitting on. So I've got all of this around the turtle, but that's no big deal. I can go in and fix this with Mesh Mixer if I wanted to go and 3D print this item. And another thing I'd like to point out about the ScanFerretPro is that once you have 3D scanned your objects, you are not stuck having to use a specific or proprietary software. The Creality Scan software will export your files in the OBJ, PLY, or STL format, which means you can import them into your favorite 3D modeling software or your favorite 3D printer software. So the CR ScanFerretPro has turned out to be an awesome little scanner. I was amazed at how easy it was to get set up for the first time, 3D scan an object, and then 3D print it with little to no effort at all. And I can also see where this scanner is going to come in really handy in future making stuff videos. And also, if you like what you see and you want to check out the CR ScanFerretPro for yourself, be sure and check out the links that I've got down in the description of the video. And if you like the video, please smash that like button, give me that big thumbs up. And if you aren't a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming Making Stuff videos. And thanks for watching.